we introduced speech-driven body gesture generation in 3D scenes from Pickford AI. Current methods use either VQVAE or diffusion in the raw motion space or latent space. Among them, VQVAE models typically have quantization error. Alternatively, some models generate gestures using diffusion models directly in the raw motion space. Since time is explicitly represented in this space, they can achieve better temporal alignment with speech. However, iterative denoising in the raw motion space increases the computational cost. In addition, some models such as Gesture Hydra operate in the raw motion space and align motion with audio through per-frame residual addition. While this helps synchronize the two modalities, the audio must be downsampled to match the number of motion tokens. As a result, each motion frame only observes the audio at the same timestamp, whereas surrounding audio within a second or two could also provide useful contextual information. Other works generate gestures using diffusion in the latent space. However, a drawback of this approach is that temporal information becomes entangled within the latent representation. As seen in the SynTalker method, audio and text features are simply concatenated with the noisy motion input without any explicit mechanism for temporal alignment. Another gap in previous approaches is that they often overlook the posture state. Because of this, they don't generate different gestures depending on whether the person is standing or sitting. Here, for example, when a person is sitting with their knees crossed, we would expect occasional hand contact with the knees. Even though methods like SynTalker support a text prompt to describe the posture state, the model is first pre-trained on general motion generation data and then fine-tuned for gesture generation. As a result, the generated gestures are often not well correlated with the posture state. And finally, another gap is that surrounding furniture should also influence gestures. For example, a nearby table might lead to gestures such as placing a hand on the table. However, existing methods are typically scene-agnostic, mainly due to the lack of suitable datasets. To address this, we introduced the SceneGest dataset, a well-curated dataset containing 26 scenarios across 153 different object assets. Let's take a look at some sample scenes from the dataset.
Exactly, and that's on the coaching staff. You can't just expect miracles every time. They need a new game plan.
Right? I thought I knew the material, but then those questions hit different. Like they came from another planet.
Now let's talk about our proposed gesture generation mod. The model is trained in 3 stages. In the first stage, we train a causal VAE with the goal of preserving temporal order in the latent space. Let's assume we have 2 arbitrary gestures. If we pass one to a VAE and the other to a causal VAE to encode them and obtain their latent representations. And then we zero out the last tokens from each. What do you think happens after decoding? After decoding, let's play both the inputs and the outputs to see what the gestures look like. As you saw, the moment we reached the 0 tokens, the causal VAE output changed to an average gesture without motion, while for the VAE it didn't make much difference. This happens because in a VAE the latents are not temporally aligned, and most of the important information is stored in the first tokens. In the next stage, we train the model to generate gestures in the causal latent space. Now that the latents are temporally ordered, we can introduce temporal alignment using masked cross-attention. For audio, we use window masking so that each motion token only attends to audio within the temporal window where it occurs. For text, we use an off-the-shelf model to find where words appear in the audio, and apply text span masking so that each motion token attends only to the transcript corresponding to that time frame. And finally, we fine-tune the model to add object awareness by introducing a gated object fusion module, while keeping all the other weights frozen. To do this, whenever a person is surrounded by objects, we place an ellipsoid around the person and sample points inside it. Then we compute the minimum distance from these points to the person's mesh and also to the surrounding objects. This gives us the resulting object BPS and person BPS. Next, we inject these tokens into the gated object fusion module. The module concatenates them with the motion tokens and initially behaves like an identity function by setting the alpha values to 0. During training, it gradually introduces object awareness into the model. And now let's look at some qualitative samples from our model.
So when I have time to kill, I like to play on the internet and pay close attention to new fashion events, such as the New York Fashion Week, the Paris Fashion Week, the London Fashion Week, and the Milan Fashion Week. The rest of the time, I usually go to the library, find some interesting books, and then go to a park and relax. There are many books that I find interesting, such as fashion magazines, inspirational books, and professional books. These books can give me the motivation to be healthier and energetic. And the last thing I like to do when I am free is eat out with my family members. You would be surprised to know that I have tried all the restaurants in our huge community. I actually give each restaurant a score based on how good the food is, how good the environment is, and at the same time, I will write down the type of food they serve. So when each time a friend comes to the city to enjoy time with me, I will give them the top 5 restaurants based on this ranking, and every time they're satisfied with these restaurants. My favorite kind of movies are romantic movies, such as Titanic. It's a fantastic film. It captured many young people's hearts with its amazing music and sentimental plots. When I think of the movie Titanic, the word that comes to my mind surmises the whole film would be love. It's a kind of thing that makes the world go round. Watching these kinds of romantic movies is just like reading a book that teaches me how to love and be loved. Moreover, we can learn we can learn more from it, such things as loyalty and what we treasure in our lives. Another movie about love is The Secret. The movie Secret is about a story of a musical prodigy that falls in love with a girl who is dying. There are a lot of enviable moments in this film, such as the simple love between high school students. Every time I watch this movie, it reminds me of a time that I was in high school, and you might remember the crush you had in school and how you would look at him while he's in class without thinking or wanting to go places with him. Well, I think it's quite common to see people moving from place to place for different reasons. I've experienced the same thing when I was in the 3rd grade in primary school. Actually, my parents used to live in a village in a joint house with my grandparents. The experience of living together was so amazing, and the peaceful life from the village and the cities cannot be fully explained in words. However, my family decided to move to Japan because my grandfather is actually Japanese. It was all right. I would like to choose a job that can provide me with a high sense of individual satisfaction. First, I believe that success is a process rather than a result of receiving plenty of money. Money and reputation are things that I would like to come as a result of my success. So a personal sense of satisfaction would let me enjoy the process. Secondly, a high personal satisfaction can boost my interest and passion to continue the job. For example, I love music, and in my free time, I try to remix popular songs. But this kind of thing doesn't make a lot of money. I'd rather have people praise my remixes online rather than make money. Also, through this, I can share my own style of music. I would like to add a little more drama, a little more drum guitar sounds to the intro of a song, as well as add a rap to the chorus. Though this is my job, I can share the style of music that I like in my work. In other words, passion and satisfaction are necessary for my career, but money.
Both. Yeah, because it's like I started out like in school doing it and was and do it for my career, and then I also do it for fun.
In my opinion, making more money doesn't always mean you'll be happier at work. I think job satisfaction is more important and has more meaning than pursuing a job that has a high salary. I think the reason for happiness and satisfaction is not how much money you make, but whether you really want it. People can turn it into a hobby, into their own job. If you can't do it now, just keep on looking for it. Search until you find that job that is very suitable for you. Then, when thinking about the future, it's really important to be happy in your personal life. And that should never be based on the amount of money or quality of money that you receive. Because if you are happy and satisfied with your job, then you will be satisfied when you look at other things around you. After all, salary comes once a month, but job satisfaction Your whole career.
Yeah, it gets really cold at night in the wintertime too. Like it'll go from like 80 during the day in January to like 14 or something at night, you know? It's crazy, yeah. That's how you die.
Yeah. No, some of my friends got like made up like really intricate backstory. Yeah, they got really into it, like unnecessarily into it.
Now we show some object-aware examples. But before that, we want to reiterate the two key aspects of object awareness in gesture generation. First is semantic correlation. Gestures should correlate with and be influenced by surrounding objects, for example, placing hands on a table or adapting posture when sitting. Second, the motion should remain physically plausible and avoid collisions. While our model explicitly models both aspects, perfectly accurate contact is still an open challenge in human-scene interaction research, so minor occlusions can occasionally occur.
Don't give me that. You're shaking. What are you holding back? It's etched on your face. Hazy? You saw him, didn't you? Look at me when I'm talking to you. Don't fidget so much.
I do love a dancing shadow. Fine, tell your ghost story first. But I'm warning you, I have a fantastic folktale ready.
I understand your frustration. Let's see what we can do to get you to your destination.
Thank you for watching.